Hello everyone, I'm back with another SAT related video, and this question is I think from practice set number 1, probably the calculator section. I'm not very sure, but then yeah, so it's related to inequality and graphing inequalities. So that at times can be a bit confusing. So some people may be thinking of using hit and trial method, so if you are to solve this inequality and graph it, then you might select 1 point, maybe this is the point, maybe this is the other point, and again you have to solve this inequality in graph and find the intersection area. So some people might think that we are going to use hit and trial method. You are going to try it out with a few coordinates. If it works, fine. If it does not, then we are just going to repeat the process. But then that's not really the case. There's a simple way to solve it, and I'm taking example of this question to help people out on how to graph inequalities. So let's look at this question. It says, if the system of inequalities y is greater than or equal to 2x plus 1 and y is greater than 1 over 2x minus 1 is graphed in the xy plane above, which quadrant contains no solutions to the system? So over here the system means intersection. So it's talking about intersection between two, or rather let's write it in word form, between two inequalities. So it's talking about intersection between two inequalities. So that's what you're supposed to be finding. So for that we have to separately graph them. And how do we graph them is one question. So to graph, we can zoom in here as well. To graph, let's change the color. First you should change it to equation form. So what I'm trying to say is, let's take an example here. That is, y is greater than or equal to 2x plus 1. So for example, what I'm trying to say is, let's change that inequality into this. And the second one would be graph it. Graph it. Graph it. And the third option, the most important one, is look at the sign of inequality. So these are the three steps. Change it into equation form, graph the equation. You know how to graph the equation. You take 2-3 points, and then you take x coordinate. Let's say you take over here 3, then 3 times 2 is 6, then y becomes 7. So the coordinate is 3 comma 7. So you do it that way. And then another step is look at the sign of inequality. So is it greater than or equal to? Is it just greater than? And yeah, so I've already beforehand made a graph of this question. So let's check it out in the next page. Yeah, this is the graph. So let's look at it. Let's zoom it. So the first inequality was, I'll write it over here. So the first one was y is greater than or equal to 2x plus 1. The second one was y is greater than x over 2 minus 1. So the first one says that y is greater than or equal to. So y can be included in this inequality. Can be equal to. But then in the second one, it's y is greater than. There's no equal to. So that's one thing you should be considering. So let's say this is inequality first. This is inequality second. So this is the graph of inequality first, and this is the graph of inequality second. You see a difference. What difference? There's a difference in dotted lines, or let's say lines. So for the second one there's a dotted line, and for the first one there is a straight line. So what this is trying to signify is, in the second inequality there is no equal to. So if you graph this inequality, as I told you again, for the first one you would graph it as this, find the given points. So one point would be 3,7, the other one point could be 2,5, so 3,7 would be somewhere around here, it's included, and then 2,5 would be somewhere around here as well, somewhere over here, 2,5. So that is the graph for the first one, and since it can be equal to, greater than, we'll always move it to the upward side, and less than will be downward side, so that's something you should be remembering. So this is up, and you are going to go to the upward side whenever there is greater than. So over here as well, in the second graph, the green, the one that's signified by green color, so it's again greater than, so we are going upwards. If it would have been less than, then we would have gone downwards. So that is how you graph the first one. As I told you, you took these two points, you can take other points and just draw a line. That's the line of that equation. And since it is an inequality, it's not going to be an equation, it's not going to be a line, it's going to be an area. So this, the one signified by reddish color, is the area for the first inequality, and similarly the one signified by green area is for the second inequality, y is greater than x over 2 minus 1. Notice that it is represented by a dotted line. This means that that line, that particular line, is not a part of that inequality. The part that is upwards to that is included, but not that line itself. But for the first one, that line too is a part of that inequality, as there is equal sign. Just over here, there is equal sign, not just greater than. So, and to find the solution, what I told you was we need to search for the intersection between two inequalities. So, if you go to the next page, you see, let's just erase this thing. Let's erase it. You notice that the intersection is this area, this part. This part is not, because there's no intersection, and this two part is not. So now let's look for the main question, what the question was. So the question asked us which quadrant contains no solution. So let's look at the intersection. Quadrant second does contain, quadrant first 2 does contain, third also contains, fourth, does it contain? This is the fourth one. Does it contain? Yes, it contains solution for the second one, this tiny area, but there's no intersection there. So we can say that the fourth quadrant contains no solution. So that would be, our answer is our answer would be quadrant 4. Quadrant 4. So this means the correct answer is option number C. So that's the correct answer. So if you look at it, you can see that the fourth quadrant has no solution. That's how you graph inequalities. Just you first of all, you treat it as equation of a line, plot it, and then for inequality, it's not a particular line, it's a segment, it's an area. So if it's greater than, you go upwards. If it's less than, you go downwards. If it's greater than and equal to, that line too is included for that area. So yeah, I hope you learned how to do this. The answer is option C. That was just an example, and hope to see you in my next videos. Thank you.